G'day guys, welcome to episode 60 of Beyond the Finish Line, the podcast for runners of every pace, every distance and every goal. My name is Matt, aka Coach Matt. This is Georgia. How you doing, mate?
I'm good.
That's our new intro. That's it. Straight to the point,
that
mate.
it?
No fucking around, yeah.
You want to tell everyone what we're talking about today?
No, we're going to get into it because they've got to hang around. I think this one's going to be a really good one. I'm going to keep them on the hook because this is...
Great.
I think this, after the 2 episodes we've set up, this is going to be like the trifecta of setting up your training for the whole year, maybe for the rest of your endurance career. You only need those 3 episodes.
Oof, I love it. Yes, guys, you're going to love this one. I'm very good. Thank you, Matt. I mean, what's there to complain about? Feeling good, loving life. How about you?
Got a little bit of energy. I said this to you last week, but I feel like your energy's coming back up. The worst of, knock on wood, worst of the pregnancy sickness and everything's over. And every week is a little bit more energy, a little bit more old Georgia. Yeah,
I know. I do feel like my old self, which is great. It's kind of like you're waiting for something to happen. You're like, oh, have I spoken too soon? Is something going to happen? But no, honestly, I feel like myself not now, besides all the random aches and pains and random shit that happens.
Yeah, of course,
yeah, I feel great. I do. I feel like my energy and my colour has come back, if that kind of makes sense.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. But
just when we log on to do the pod, I'm just I can feel the energy straight away. Where when we were going through the depths of it, you were like,
I know, you guys, if you go from episode 48 to I reckon 55, you could probably see the depths of me being I can't
do a podcast with a bucket next to it.
Oh, just all of the things, those little sick bags. I always had my drink bottle full of Hyro next to me just in case, or icy poles. But it's all good. I'm on the other side now. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Somehow got roped into doing a marathon this weekend, so I don't know how that happened, but yeah, we'll do that.
Is it timed?
It's
official?
A trail marathon. It's a trail marathon. Yeah. But
damn, I was
there's 1,300 meters of climbing.
It's happening.
I might give 4 hours a poke, if just to prove a point.
Fuck off.
I was really unmotivated to do it, but now I'm wait a minute. 4 hours, 1,300 meters climbing, that'd be quick. I'd have to run.
Yeah. And off the back of last week's episode where I fully shamed you.
I'm not going to give you 10 days of it. No, I'm coming straight for the jugular.
Oh, dear. So what's your highs and lows? You've obviously been roped into this trail marathon.
Mate, it's this weekend, Sam was getting... preparing for her UTA race. So we're going out. We're going to go down, do this trail run. I might have jumped in and done the 20, but I was going to spectate. Then Sam's brother goes, I posted on Instagram, he's you want to do 40 Ks? I'm yeah, right.
So now Sam has no spectator?
Nah.
You shithead.
Blame her brother, not me. So... yeah, highs. I actually don't have any highs. I actually feel pretty flat. I don't feel very fit at the moment to being 8 weeks out from UTA.
Yeah.
And I had the worst weekend of training I've had probably in 12 months. So that's where I'm at. And I feel like I've been hit by a truck today in terms of fatigue. So
that's not fun.
That's just part. I'm in the middle of prep. I'm in the washing machine. So I'm just rolling through it. Days will be good, days will be bad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. You just got to press on, right? It's just kind of oh, well.
It was interesting. I actually had a conversation with a couple of first-time marathon runners over the weekend. I got Margot, who's doing Paris. I got Carly, who's doing Canberra, and a couple of others. But they were oh my God, everything is hurting. Everything's falling apart.
Yeah.
It's because you've got no reference point. You don't know what's going on. You don't know, when it's going to end. You don't know what's happening. And... I think the big difference is once you've gone through it a few times, like me, I'm just I know this is going to end. I just got to roll through it. So I'm not too worried about it. But
yeah. We always say, they're in the washing machine. It's the hardest part is now, and then they get through it. But it's rough. But without that reference point, it's very hard to be positive about what's happening.
Yeah, because your body's just screaming. It's what are you doing to me?
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, G? Highs and lows?
Highs and lows. I'll start with a pretty funny low. Actually, it's not even a low, really. I just didn't even care. It just went straight over my head. But someone commented on my video today being like, did you see this?
Is this what I replied to?
Possibly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, what'd they say? They were like, are you pregnant or just moving into an obese body right now? And I was like, moving into an obese body. I was like, wow, I've never heard that one before.
Obese now? Is that how it works?
Hi, I'm George. I'm an obese runner. I'm 22 weeks obese. It seriously just made me laugh. And do you know what? Like, if I wasn't pregnant, I would have been really upset. I would have been like,
sure.
Oh my God, I look really fat. Whereas now it's just like,
but it's like so blatantly obvious you're pregnant. Like...
I know. And again, it was on the fucking cheese video. It's like, this video of mine just won't end. Oh, anyway, that has been...
I saw it, the cheese video, and I was like, yeah, okay, like, in professional kitchen, that is stock standard. Like, I didn't even flinch at it.
Yeah.
And everyone's gone crazy about it. And now I'm like, I wonder how many hacks I have just like in the back of my head that I didn't know were like not general knowledge.
I know, right? And it all started because I was just making my preggy sandwiches, and I had like 10 people message me, or like more. And they're like, yeah. And then they're like, what are you doing with the cheese? And I was like, what do you mean? Doesn't everyone do this? And they're like, no, like legitimately, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm using a peeler to cut cheese. Like, it just cuts it perfectly. I thought everyone did this, which like I'm now come to realize 50% of the population does it. And I was like, oh, okay, like some people have messaged about it, so that could be a good like little semi-viral video. I might get 10,000 views on it or something. I'll put it as a trial reel, which means, no one else who follows me sees it. It just pushes out to a different audience because it's not my normal content, obviously. And
well, as of late, there's a lot of sandwich content.
I know, I was getting bored with the running content. And it fucking went, it's like currently at 1.5 million views, which is like pretty good. And this massive guy who does kitchen hacks, I don't even follow the account. He used my video as part of one of his videos, and he has 3.5 million followers. And I was like, oh my God, this doesn't end. And the comments are insane. Like, it's 700 comments from people being like, I do this, I don't do this. In Norway, we have a cheese slicer, like whatever. And I'm like, the ironic thing is, I can't even fucking eat cheese. It's vegan cheese. And half the people are like, is it butter? Because it's vegan cheese. Yeah. Oh, and it just doesn't end. And anyway, the guy in the video, he commented being like, are you obese? And I was just like, hilarious.
Too much cheese, mate.
Too much cheese. But yeah, positive high for the week is I had a solid like 10 minutes of the baby kicking the other day for the first time, which is really, really cool. At 22 weeks, when other people have been feeling their baby since like 15, I'm like, this is incredible. I've been waiting so long for this. So now I'm like, every time it kind of moves, I'm like, oh my God, stop, don't move. Don't breathe. So yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, had a really wholesome weekend. Did a 7K run. So super proud of that. And
that's probably the longest you've run in a while.
Yeah, well, I did the 7K maybe a month or so ago, but other than that, like I haven't really pushed further than that. But my pinky toes were going numb, so I was like, I'm gonna stop.
Good call.
Good call. So yes, great weekend. Just life's good. So yeah.
How good.
How good.
We're normally just finishing the intro now, Georgia.
8 minutes in.
8 minutes in. Yeah. And Georgia's like, now I can breathe.
Well, guys, let us know what you think if you like that better, because we're happy to just shorten it. It makes our lives easier, way less stress on us.
There's so much anxiety about the intro because we both go, okay, go talk for 3 minutes straight.
Or all the times we've had to re-record because we fucked it up.
Oh, you hold the record for that.
I do hold the record for that. Yeah, but Matt, do you want to get into what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, I think when we were coming up with the ideas for the episodes, I often look through the athlete consults that we do for new athletes coming into the performance project. Now I look for like trends because they bring problems to me and they're like, can you solve this problem? Yep. And I had an influx of Gold Coast Marathon athletes 16 weeks out. And this is over the last 2 weeks, so sort of 18 to 16 weeks out. And they've come to me and they're like, haven't started running. I haven't been running 16 weeks out. I want to get in marathon shape.
Okay.
And I think this is the biggest problem or the biggest mistake athletes make, whether they are new or experienced, is that they think that 16 weeks, they think a race block is enough time. It's like they do not take into consideration a base block and then a race block. So I'm going to walk everyone through the difference, why they're important, and how to structure your year to make sure that you get the most out of your races.
Amazing. And it's so important. And guys, we really need to listen to this episode. If you sometimes zone out a little bit, I feel like this is going to be the one that's going to change your training. And as Matt said, this is the biggest mistake that runners all over the world do and make, is that they don't focus on anything beyond that one 16-week block or 18-week block before a big race. And so Matt's going to run us through it, and I'm excited to hear all about it. So talk to me, Matt, what is a base building block? What does it mean? How do we know what that is?
Yeah, so if we go back to our zones episode last week, base building block is anywhere from, depending on your fitness level, but if we're assuming most people are beginners, 12 to 16 weeks of a lot of zone 2 and a lot of zone 4 and 5. We're not really spending a lot of time in zone 3. That's our race-specific block. And what we're trying to do here is develop that aerobic capacity. So we spoke about, that's why I said these 3 episodes together. Listen to, 58, 59, 60. Develop that aerobic capacity. And I like to tell my athletes at the Performance Project, you have to earn the right to start a marathon block. So that 12 to 16 weeks of base building is training your body for the demands of a marathon block. You cannot go from, you can, but it is not recommended you go from 0 to marathon in 16 weeks. And especially once we start talking about time goals, or you want to get a certain level of performance out of yourself, you cannot just raw dog it and jump in straight from nothing and expect to get good results. So a base building block is setting that foundation, building that base, all of these cliche terms that we've heard on Instagram, developing our aerobic capacity to give us the right to start a race block.
And does this apply for all race blocks or just the larger race blocks? Like, tell me, when do we actually need to start thinking about base building? Is it just if we're wanting to do a marathon, or is it for other races too?
I would say the longer the race, the more important it is. That being said, all runners should be periodically doing base building. You cannot just go race block to race block to race block. That's how injuries happen. That's how people burn out. And listen to our dark side of endurance episode, probably our most popular episode that we've ever done. We speak about people just going race block, race block, race block, race block, and they never really progress. They might make bigger progressions at the start because they're a newer runner. They're getting the newbie gains.
Yep.
But once that starts to plateau out, you notice the progression gets less and less and less and less, and then it might even start to regress. So that's the importance of a base building block, is like it gives us, I like to think of it as it gives us our endurance potential. So if we spend a long time in a base building block, it increases our capability to increase endurance.
Okay. And how long is a typical base building block?
Yeah, again, depending on fitness level and depending on the length of the race. If you're relatively fit, I would say someone like myself at my I would say I'm at the upper end of amateur. I would say I could get away with 8 to 10 weeks and really go into a solid block. For someone like, say, George's level, I would do nothing less than 12, and then full on newbie 5Ks, like your long run. We would call them a scratch at TPP because they're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So we would do 16 weeks for them.
Okay. And I know you spoke about the biggest mistake people are making is not doing a base building phase. Mm-hmm. What is it's obviously not just going out and doing lots of zone 2 running. Where is the mistake that they're making?
Well, the mistake that they're making is we spoke about this last week, is they don't do proper zone 2 running. So they're sort of drifting between zones. I will push back a little bit on what you said, George. If you don't have a coach and you just went out and ran proper zone 2, you went and did your zones, you listened to all the advice, set them up properly, and you just did zone 2 running, you would make significant progress. Like that would happen. As a beginner runner, the further along you progress, the more you need to, I guess, be a bit more tactical about it. So the biggest mistake people make is they don't give themselves enough time. They don't do the zones properly, and then for the moving up the food chain runner, so if you're not a scratch runner, they would not do an adequate balance of zone 2 / threshold VO2 work.
Okay, yeah. And obviously I'm not just talking about, don't go out and just do zone 2 and expect that to be a base building block. It's kind of just more like, I know people going out and just doing their normal running and stuff and then going, oh, I've already been doing that for a year. Like that can be my base building. Obviously your base building block needs to be slightly more structured in that it's intentional. And so I do want to get into the zones again. We have a question later on in the episode from someone asking about setting up their zones properly. So we will get into that, guys. But I guess I just want to move into the kind of more about this base building and how can someone who doesn't have a coach like yourself or like Anthony from TPP, how can they implement in the easiest way possible? How can they implement a base building block?
Yeah, I would look at what I'm currently doing for running. So if you're running 2 or 3 times a week, and then very, very simply, I would make the majority of those runs easy. So if you're running 3 times a week, 2 runs are easy, 1 run is hard, and then I would just write down very, very simple progression. And this might not be simple for some people, but 5 times 30 seconds hard with 1 minute easy, and then 5 times 1 minute, the following week, 5 times 1 minute hard, 5 times 90 seconds hard, 5 times 2 minutes hard. You can see the trend. That's that would be the easiest way I would do it if you didn't have a coach.
Yep.
There is, and when we say hard, we're so between 5 and 10K pace. So a sort of an 8 to a 9 out of 10. You never want to be sprinting. And then if you were going to a 4th run or even a 5th run, again, I'm still following the majority is zone 2. And then if you could handle 2 harder runs, you could do that. Then I would make one really, really short and sharp at a higher intensity. So that might be 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30-second intervals. Yep. And then one might be 3, 4, 5-minute intervals at a slightly slower pace.
Okay. I'm making notes for you guys so that I can pop this up so that you can follow along. We had someone ask about that during the week and I could send them the tile and I was like, here you go, use this. So I am making notes, guys. If you are watching on YouTube, that's why I'm looking at my phone right now. Otherwise, I'm totally going to forget this. So, okay, cool. So we're kind of aiming for 3 runs a week. And if we have time to do an extra one, we are popping in another bit of a tougher session. I know you mentioned just before we're building that aerobic capacity. These kind of harder runs help with that as well, don't they?
For sure, yeah. So it's kind of a weird analogy. Everyone uses the pyramid analogy, building that pyramid. It's like you're building the bottom layer of the pyramid. This pyramid's got 5 layers for 5 zones. We went through this last week. It's like you're building layers 1 and 2 and layers 4 and 5, but you're not putting anything in the middle.
Okay.
So zone 1 and 2, layer 1 and 2, and then zone 4 and 5, layers 4 and 5 of the pyramid, so the very, very top of the pyramid. The more base building we do, the wider our base can get, and that means the higher the pyramid could go. So height would be your top end speed, and then width would be how long you could potentially hold that speed. And then when we get into a race block, we're building in that 3rd middle layer that sort of brings everything together.
Okay, that's a great analogy where you're talking about, in this kind of base, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it as well. We're building that bottom, and then that's what that kind of base building is. And I know it sounds very obvious, but, and then you're jumping into a race block, and that's kind of where you start doing more of your longer tempo sessions that might be more of that marathon pace. Is that correct? Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool. Love that. Super handy to know. And so I guess for the easier zone 2 running that people are doing, and I say easier as in that's your own personal level of easy, I again, I'm working on that at the moment, making sure we use the correct words so it's very inclusive. For those easier runs that we're doing each week, are we aiming for a time here or for a pace or for both? I know we spoke about this a little bit last week, but just a bit of a refresher.
Yeah, during base building, I'm pretty happy just for everyone to run based on heart rate. With your intervals, if you want to run based off pace, you can. We sort of spoke about, I think we did a listener question. Was that last week or the week before?
Yeah.
Again, in that the 3-episode Holy Trinity that we're building right now, we did a listener question where I was like, at top ends, it's a little bit easier to sort of work off pace just because it's a little bit more reactive versus heart rate can be a little bit delayed. And then at the lower speed, lower paces, focusing on heart rate.
Yeah, that was in last week's episode, guys, if you want to go back and listen to it. Or even if you just want to refresh on what Matt was talking about just there. There's a good little segment in there about that. And you can use our timestamps to do that as well. Yep. Woo, go on. Okay, cool. And then so I guess, how do you plan your year based on races? So obviously you pick a race, maybe you've got a goal of doing Gold Coast Marathon, and then you work backwards. So I guess you're just kind of working out how long is enough time for you to do that base building phase. I guess because if I'm just trying to think, like, if people don't have a coach, I mean, feel free to come and get a coach. We can help you. If you don't have a coach, so like, how do they work out, I guess, what to do? Yeah.
So the easiest way and this is the way we do it with all of our athletes is, I'll just tell you how we do it at TPP. That's way easier. So we would run a 5K 30-minute threshold test. So your fastest 30 minutes, work out average pace, average heart rate, calculate all your zones, do all the things. And from that, we get a rough idea of what your pacing zones are. So as always, we use Georgia at the guinea pig. Let's say Georgia came to me and she was like, I want to do sub 4-hour marathon. I'm like, cool. That's 5 minutes 40, or it's like 5:38 per kilometer, whatever it is. If Georgia came to me and her zone 3 after her first threshold test was, let's say, 6 minutes, I'm like, cool. We've got to move your thresholds at least 20 seconds because I want that 5:40, 5:35 window to be right in the middle of your zone 3. So this is where you kind of need to know yourself a little bit as an athlete. It's like, how long will it take me to improve my thresholds by 20 seconds or improve my 5K by X amount of time? And for most people, it is it's 8 to 16 weeks, depending on the athlete, depending on how much you can tolerate. The more experience, the less time you need, or if George's threshold pace was 5:45, cool. Like, we could probably get away with 8 weeks. We can move it 5 seconds in 8 weeks. So then we map out how long we expect it to take, somewhere between 8 and 16 weeks, depending on the athlete. Do all of the necessary training in that window to move your thresholds down, probably testing every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the block. Yep. And then I would imagine we'd probably be where we need to be about 80% of the way through, ideally. And then we just sort of do a couple of extra weeks just to put the icing on the cake, do a little bit of a deload, and then we would start a race block. So going back to the original question of how you plan it out, automatically give yourself 16 weeks for a race block for a marathon, 12 weeks maybe for a half marathon, and then from the 16 weeks, count back again to how long you think it would take to change your thresholds. So it's like, it can be like quite a strong planning phase.
And like, I guess, is ever too much time in a base building phase? Like, could you be in there too long?
Yes and no. Like, I would argue I've been basically in a base building phase since I finished Ironman Cairns last year. So that's, 9 months now, which is a long time. But that being said, like, if you look, I've raced a few times in there. I've obviously done 100K, about to do another 100K, doing a marathon on the weekend, did a half Ironman the other week. Doing a big base building block gives you the flexibility to be able to do other things. You just can't have big expectations on performance. So if you are happy just getting fitter and faster and more aerobically fit. And it is super boring. It's super mundane. Like, I'm only doing it because I'm injured, or coming back from injury. If you can tolerate it, I would say there is no limit to that where you can be in a base building block, as long as you are constantly retesting yourself so your zones keep moving. So if you do 9 months of base building and you only test at the start, after 16 weeks, those numbers are no longer relevant. So now you're not going to make those fitness gains. You're not going to be moving your threshold markers, and you might actually start to regress because you're not giving your body enough stimulus to push or change anything. So as long as you're constantly testing, you'll just get fitter and faster, fitter and faster, fitter and faster.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're just testing every 6 to 8 weeks, as you said. I think that's good. Gives people something to work towards. If they, say, don't have a race that they know they want to sign up for, it's a great chance to kind of change things up a little bit, be like, all right, I'm going to jump into a base building phase, see where my fitness is at, see if I can improve it a bit, and then that will help me even just to choose a race you want to do and choose, like, if there's a time.
That's another great point, Georgia. Like,
yeah.
If you came to me and you were like, I want to do sub 4, and it's like, I've got Gold Coast, Sydney, Melbourne marathon, and we looked at your numbers and you're like, I think actually Melbourne's the best bet for you. Like, we need that extra time. So, like, you can use your goals to actually plan out your race calendar a little bit more efficiently. Yeah,
I think it's a great way to look at it. Instead of being like, I have to do this race, if you're a bit more flexible, you can definitely plan it to be like, I'm just going to keep testing myself, see how much I can improve. And it's a great also way to work out kind of what your time goal might be, especially if you're a newer runner and you're like, I don't know what my time goal should be. You might not be at that sub 4 or whatever that time is for you at that level. Yeah, you might go, okay, well, maybe let's see, can I improve my threshold pace to a point where I can have a time goal, or is it a time to just make myself fitter and get better and do all of those things?
Yeah, and I think it's the toughest thing for athletes. Like, I harp on about it with the TPP athletes is, like, you should enjoy base building. Like, you should live in base building. You should want to be there. Like, I wish all of my guys would be like, I'm happy to do it for 6 months, but we all get the race bug, and they're like, I've got to put this time goal on it, and they go out and they want to race. So if you're happy doing the mundane and being very repetitive, and you're very okay living in that world, which, if we look at like elite athletes, their routine doesn't change. Like, they do the same thing every single day, eat the same foods, do the same stuff. And like, that's how they get really, really good. If you're happy doing that, like, you will get so much better than everyone else. Like, you will just overtake people at such a rate. But most people are not happy to do that. So, yeah, I encourage people to stay in base building as long as you can tolerate it.
What are some like fun ways that people can make base building more interesting? Like, is it just with those interval kind of sessions, or like, I feel like base building is like the perfect time just to cruise, just do, or is it different from just being like your, I don't know, everyday runner where you just go out and do?
This is I think where people make the mistake is, they don't lock in on base, but they don't treat base building as a block. They just treat it as, this is social time. This is, I'll go run club. I'll do coffee. Doesn't matter if I miss this session. Yeah. But then, like, when they're 16 weeks out from the race, I've locked in, like, this time to be serious. Mate, your time to be serious was 16 weeks ago. Like, I can't do anything for you now. Like, now we're in this weird spot where I can make you fit, but I can't make you much faster. So
yeah,
it's, that right there is the actual mistake people make, is they don't treat base building seriously, and like, they go in at very lackadaisical. They don't have a plan. They don't have structure, and they are just way more up in the air with everything. Versus race block, you see the mentality switch, and you see, like, all of a sudden on Training Peaks, everything's green. All of a sudden, like, you're getting your Training Peaks feedback from athletes, like, they're locked in, and you're like, you burnt your bridge, mate. Like, we're working on this 16 weeks ago.
Yeah, I feel like base building is such a good time to practice discipline too. Mm-hmm. And you're not like getting to the point, like you said, where you're in a marathon block and then you don't have the discipline yet. So you're missing sessions, and that's like key building time to really lock in, as you said. But the base building is where you can lock in, you can get really good at being, on time to your sessions, doing all the sessions, not missing things, practicing all sorts of different, fueling strategies. If that's what you want to do, like this is the time to practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to kind of, I know what you mean when you say like people aren't locking in enough with the base building and stuff. What's some other ways like people can really lock in so that they, do get into the marathon block and take it more seriously?
Like I said at the start, base building, it kind of earns you the right to go into a marathon block. And what I mean by that is, and George sort of started to hit the nail on the head with it, is it teaches you all the good habits that you take into a block. So base building shouldn't be a 1 out of 10, and then when that 16-week marker comes, you crank it up to 10. Base building should be like a 7, which is like, it's pretty cruisy. Like most people are going to maintain a 7 for a long period of time. 1 week might be a 6, 1 week might be a 9, but like overall, you're sort of sitting at about a 7. That doesn't mean you need to be perfect. Like we still have lives, still have things going on. But like overall, you're sort of sitting at like a 7 out of 10. And then when you go to marathon, it like should only just go to an 8. Like you're only just sort of just teasing things up a bit. And then like at your peak weeks, it's going to like 9, 9.5, and then you're tapering. So what people make the mistake is they go from 1 or 2 to 10, and then they fuck up and they drop to 5, and they try and get back up to 10 and can't get up to 10 and get discouraged, and they sit at 7 or 8, and then they do a hamstring, and then they're at 0, and then they're like, I wonder why that happened. It's like you didn't rev your car enough, right? You didn't like build up the revs. It wasn't warmed up. Yeah,
I guess I'm just so conditioned since like running to having a plan and treating base building as a serious thing, because you've always been like, no, this is serious. Like you have to do it. So I can understand where people do go wrong, where they don't treat it seriously. They're like, it'll be right. It's just a base building phase. Whereas I've always just been like, okay, sure, that's my session. I have to do it. So I would be a terrible person outside of having a coach and having a proper training plan, because I'm not very good otherwise.
Yeah. I think like having a plan is super important. And you don't, as much as I love helping people and coaching them, you don't necessarily need a coach. As long as you're following some sort of structure and you are testing consistently, you will make some form of progress. I would say a coach enables guaranteed progress and speed of progress. But if you're not, can't do it financially, maybe you just don't like it, whatever it is, you'll still make progress. It just like might not be guaranteed, and it might go up and down. But like if you are consistent and do progressive overload, all the concepts we've spoke about on this podcast, like you will make. I've given out enough 5 and 10K plans on this podcast. There'll be something out there for you guys for sure. Actually, we did a whole podcast on speed. Listen to that podcast.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, steal that. You will make some form of progress, 100%.
Yeah, and I just want to jump back to that testing kind of stuff. The testing you mentioned we should be doing every 6 weeks. 6 to 8? What does that look like?
It's just a 30-minute all out. Like
just
nothing,
hard as.
Just do 10 or 15-minute warm-ups, and then 30 minutes all out. Average heart rate, max heart rate, average pace. Take Google threshold calculator and put in average, max, and average pace, and it'll spit out all of your zones with relatively accurate. And you can sync that up with Garmin and change your Garmin zones and everything to match.
Okay, cool. Threshold calculator. Amazing. So, is there anything else you want to add to that, Matt, to the base building phase, why you think it's so important?
The only other thing I would add is volume. Is like don't just fall into the trap of Sunday run is 1 hour and I just do 1 hour. Like the more effort you put into that base building block, the easier your race block will be. So if you're doing the marathon and you're a 4-hour marathon runner, building up to 2.5 hours of long run during a base building block will set you up really, really nicely. Because then when you start doing your marathon block, you're probably going to start somewhere around that 20 to 25 kilometer mark. And guess what you've been doing for the last 4 weeks? 20 to 25 kilometers. So like all of a sudden that's really, really easy and you're already ahead of the game. So that would be another thing is like, don't just fall into the trap of repetitiveness. Like, be proactive, think about where you're going, think about the goals you're trying to achieve, and adjust your volume accordingly.
Yeah, definitely. Because you don't want to be going from like your longest run is 10K and that feels hard to then the next week you're in a block for a marathon. You're like, oh my God, I have to do a half marathon. Yeah. And like for context, guys, my last, my Sydney marathon block, I did a base building phase and some of the long runs were long. And then I jumped straight into my marathon block and I was doing half marathons pretty much every weekend after
First
that.
week was half marathon for you.
Yeah. So like this is why your base building is so important, because you can just jump straight into the block and go and do a half marathon. You're not going to injure yourself. You're not going to be like, what the actual hell is happening here? And then towards the end, I was doing multiple weeks of 30+ kilometer runs for months. So you don't want to shock yourself into being like, oh my God, I can't cope with this right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. All right. So I think we've pretty much covered everything that comes with base building and jumping into a big block of training after that. So I think maybe we can jump into some listener questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Amazing. So the first question we actually had, we've semi-answered it, but I'm going to quickly go over it again. Tom has asked, he said, hey, Georgia and Matt, how do I know how long I should be doing training before I commit to a race and before I know that I have a race coming up? Or should I always, so I'm trying to paraphrase it as I read it, or should I always plan my races around my phases beforehand? He hasn't said base building, but Tom has just kind of mentioned he's just not really sure what he should be doing before he commits to a race.
Yeah. There's a bit of pick your poison with this. And it depends on how experienced you are. If you are an inexperienced racer, I would encourage you just to pick a race and go and do it. Like,
okay,
go get that experience. Obviously, like, give yourself enough time to get fit and everything, but don't let maybe a little bit of lack of preparedness stop you going racing. And there's a lot to be said for just race experience and what that will do for you, and sort of reframe the way you think about training. Because every time I finish a big race, I'm like, oh, this is the new standard for training. Like, the bar has been raised, and I hear it from all of my athletes. I know, Georgia, like, after we did your first Gold Coast, you were like, oh, like, we've got to change everything. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
So, I would encourage, if you're a newer runner, to do that. If you're an experienced runner and like you're really chasing a goal, and you can just sort of dial this down a little bit based if you're a little bit less experienced. But if your whole life is like around trying to achieve a certain time, maybe it's a sub-3 Boston qualifier, something like that, you're really putting a race on the calendar 12 months out, and then you are planning this whole, maybe not 12 months, 6 to 9 months out, and you're really sort of planning your whole life around that to make sure that you're ready at that time. So I'd say it depends on your level of experience and how seriously you want to take your goal. The more serious, the more time, the more preparation, right? Like, what's the saying? Lack of preparation, fail to prepare is preparing to fail. So the more preparation and more thought and the more deliberate you are with your actions, the higher your chance of success.
Cool. Perfect. Thanks, Tom, for that question. Tori has asked, I'm wondering how you got an accurate guide on your personal heart rate zones. I wear a Garmin, have done for years, but it says that my zone 2 heart rate is between 109 and 126 beats per minute, which seems super low. Does it ever update itself, or do I just assume this is always my zone 2? And then she continued to ask me as I got chatting to her, just to get a little bit more context. She just wants to know, how do you set up your zones? Mm-hmm. Is the Garmin accurate? And how do you adjust them? And do you have to manually adjust them as you go?
Yeah. General rule of thumb, anything that takes your heart rate on your wrist is pretty inaccurate. Just get yourself a chest strap or an armband. Garmin, Coros, Polar, they're all pretty much of a much. They all connect via Bluetooth. Girls, I definitely always encourage them to get the arm strap so it doesn't rub like under the sports bra.
It's so good, guys. I did 2.5 years of training and then finally switched to an armband, and it changes your life. So good. It's the Chorus one, just for... Yeah,
Chorus is really good. And even for guys, like, if you're going for a really, really long run, once that chest strap gets sweaty, it can slide. So, like, my next one will probably be an arm heart rate monitor.
Nick has it. He loves it. He says it's really great for him as well. Super comfy.
Yeah. So I would encourage you to get a correct heart rate monitor. The second part of that is Garmin's predicted zones correct? So the way Garmin does their heart rate zones is it takes your max heart rate and takes your age, sex, activity levels, and just basically compares all of these key metrics against all of its huge database of millions of people that wear Garmin, and just pulls averages. So it's not completely customized to you. It has a pretty good idea if it's like you are a 27-year-old woman who runs 3 times a week and you are 65 kilos and 5'8". It's like, cool, I got a pretty good idea of where you're at. But is it 100% for you? No. The third part of that is, how do you do it correctly? Is that right?
How do you test what your zone should be?
Yeah, so 30-minute all-out test. So most people, it's going to be somewhere between 4 and 7 kilometers of hard running, and just take the data from it. So heart rate strap on, take your average heart rate, max heart rate, average pace, bang it all into any threshold computer zone calculator on Google. You'll be fine. Like, there is not one better than the other. My Pro Coach is one that I used when I first started coaching. It was always pretty accurate. Bang that in and it'll spit it out, and then you can just edit it in Garmin.
Edit it. And so how often, I know we talk about this in the base building that we're testing every 6 to 8 weeks, is the same for like when you're actually in a marathon block and you're wanting to improve that? Are we still testing the whole way through?
If you do not have a coach, do not retest during a marathon block, because you will get fitter, and as your fitness changes, it can create a bigger discrepancy in the zones than probably what your body can handle. It's probably not the most accurate. You sort of got to know how to read the data, and this might turn into answering this question for 15 minutes just talking about this. So I would say in a marathon block, unless you feel like the zones are wildly incorrect, either like your zone 3 is impossibly hard or so easy like you're not even like trying, then retest. If it's anything outside of those two extremes, just keep it as is. Don't even worry about it.
Okay, cool. So I guess that's how anyone can test any of their zones, which is very similar to the testing you do in base building phase.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And so do you have to manually update your Garmin, I guess, but yeah, okay. So it's not like you constantly have to keep checking it and like readjusting what it should be. I know on my Garmin it always said like, would you like to input the new threshold? Like, it would just prompt me. Are people hitting yes to that, or are they hitting no to that?
If you're doing your own zones, doing your own testing, putting it into the calculator, hitting no, you just want to do it manually every 6 to 8 weeks. Because what it's doing is every time you get that prompt it's like, oh, you've fallen into the data we have on you, so the data that you've implemented, is different from what the Garmin algorithm is saying. So it's been trying to be helpful, saying, hey, like, we think this is inaccurate, let's fix it. But it's actually like, it's more accurate for you because it's personalized.
Okay, so you don't need to just exit out of that. We don't need to update that. Yep. That always confused me. I was always like, wait, am I supposed to hit yes on this? Okay, cool. Perfect. Well, I'll make sure I pop that up as a slide, guys, so you can follow it if you've forgotten what Matt has said. Jacinta has asked, what run is best, tempo, threshold, or zone 2 if I need to use a treadmill for 1 out of my 4 runs per week? What would you choose?
I mean, I suppose it depends how long the run is. I'd probably be more inclined, just from an entertainment perspective, to do a harder run, like doing.
This is so boring.
Just staring at the fucking little dot going around the running track. I'd be like, shoot me. And then tempo, you're probably going to be on there for 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. So that doesn't sound fun. This is where I would encourage guys to use a treadmill for harder runs, is if you are struggling to hit certain paces, whether your coach has prescribed them or like you're trying to move your thresholds or your 5K to a certain pace and you're just struggling to hit it, putting the treadmill on that pace and then just letting your legs turn over, because you're not working as hard on a treadmill. It's not like all you're doing is lifting your feet up and down. You're not propelling yourself forward. So just do 1 minute ons, 1 minute offs, or 2 minute offs, turning your legs over that speed, and then do that for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then go out on the track, and you'll see like, oh, you can actually hit the pace way more comfortably, and like it's a lot more, it feels a lot more normal.
Okay, so it's not like accurate when you're hitting the paces, but it's a good way to kind of ease yourself into a new pace.
Yeah, so it's basically training like a neuromuscular pattern, where it's your body's like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Have you ever tried to like jump up like onto like a bench or something, and like you sort of like do like a couple of like shakes, you like try go to jump, and like your body doesn't really do it.
Yeah, like when you're trying to do box jumps and you kind of psych yourself out of it.
Yeah. And then you do one and it's a bit rickety, and then like by the third or fourth one you're like, oh, I got this, and you go and flying. Yeah, so that's like a neuromuscular pattern. So if you're trying to turn your legs over at 4 minutes per kilometer and you've never done it before, go on the treadmill, turn them over at 4 minutes, do it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you go out on the road or on the track and you're like, oh, I can do it. Like, you've trained that pattern. So that's where I encourage people to use treadmills.
Okay, cool. Love that. That's super handy to know. Now, the next question, I swear to God, has not come from me. Georgia has asked.
When I eat so much cheese.
Georgia has asked, please, can you talk about pregnancy and running? I'm 10 weeks and I'm towards the end of my training block to run 33 kilometers. I'd love to hear more about running and pregnancy and if you need to fuel differently. Oh, Georgia, to be 10 weeks and feeling that good.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. Look, I was not feeling good at 10 weeks, so I don't know how you are training for 33K. Love that. Good on you. Every pregnancy is just so incredibly different. It's so hard to give advice on this subject because I know even from friends that I know who've run through their pregnancies, like some of them were running their normal 5-minute pace and I'm at a totally different pace. So, I've just really found with my pregnancy that I just need to really listen to my body. I couldn't commit to any kind of structured training just because one day I would wake up and feel really shit and then the next day I'd feel okay and I could try and go for a run. I'm going to let maybe Matt have a go at the 33K thing in a sec, but the fueling part, yes, I wouldn't say it's too different, to be honest. I actually don't eat before my runs at the moment. I'm only doing 30 minutes, maybe 45 to 7K. And so I don't actually eat before my runs. It's not super, super necessary because I'm not doing that, longer session. I just find it makes me feel really sick. It doesn't sit well in my stomach because everything is kind of compressing my stomach at the moment. I mean, at 10 weeks, you might only be showing a little bit. You might not be feeling all that kind of stuff now. So if you're feeling good and you're not sick, I mean, power to you. Just keep doing as you are normally. But my biggest advice is just drop any kind of ego. Don't stress about pace. Everything will feel different. And you just have to fully listen to your body and what you feel like your body needs at that stage. Matt, anything you want to say about training for the 33?
Is she doing a 33-kilometer race?
I think so. It says, I'm toward the end of my training block to run 33 kilometer. So I'm guessing it's maybe not a time. I don't know. 33 is a very random number.
Yeah. So I was like, is she doing a 33-kilometer run or is it a kilometer race? But my general rule of thumb is I kind of keep the pregnant lady happy and let her decide what she needs. I would say as long as nothing feels unusual, obviously it's a relative term.
Yep.
Train as normal. Like haven't coached any, but have seen people run very, very deep into pregnancy and been fine, strength train, all the things, swim. So obviously it can be done. I'd need way more content. I honestly probably need to sit down for like an hour to work all of this out for you to give you like a legitimate answer. I would say obviously talk to your doctor about it. If you have a coach, talk to your coach. And you just got to be really honest with yourself in terms of how you're feeling. Don't bite down on the mouth guard, so to speak, to force yourself to train if it's going to risk your health or the baby's health or any sort of injury. In terms of fueling, basic physiology would suggest that you do need more food because you're just carrying more weight. Like, that's just weight. Calories are a unit of measurements, like how much energy we burn. So if you're carrying more weight, you will burn more calories. So I would say maybe like an increase of like 10 to 15%. I'm not sure how much heavier you are. It'd probably be a pretty simple calculation. But if you're having a gel, maybe a gel and a half, like it could be as simple as that and you'd be fine. Outside of that, without way more context, I probably don't have much more to add.
Yeah, I would say like post your long runs, I would be really focusing on trying to get like good nutrition in. Really
doing that anyway, Georgia. That should not be just.
No. Like as in, I know some people after a long run they want to go and eat like just takeaway food, or they've got certain things that they really like. I mean, as in like focusing on things that are probably really great for your pregnancy. Like I know eggs are really, really good for pregnancy, and yes, they're a good source of protein and they're great after a long run regardless. But if you weren't someone who focused on that sort of stuff beforehand, I think now is the time to really focus on that. Now is the time to try and do that. But again, it depends on your pregnancy. Like if you have
so many unknowns.
Yeah, like if you have nausea or if you're vomiting, like you really need to make sure you're and again, this is just general kind of stuff that I've worked out. This is not professional advice, but like you really need to be careful of your hydration levels as well. Like, are you getting enough electrolytes in? What's your sodium intake like? Because if you're vomiting, you need to account for that as well. There's just so many unknowns with pregnancy. It's really hard to give advice on pregnancy and running. We can be as general as we want, but it's also like, I don't know if you've got any existing health conditions and things like that. So yeah, I think for anyone who just wants general running advice for running pregnant, it feels pretty much the exact same. It also just feels a little bit different. Like everything just feels a bit funny and it's not bad. It's just like, oh, like at the moment, for example, like every time I run, I feel like I need to pee, but I don't actually need to pee. And my friend said the same. She was like, you're going to feel like you need to go to the bathroom all the time, and you don't. But yeah, as I said, some people can continue their paces. Some people can continue running, their long runs or train for half marathons or do races. Just remind yourself that, at the end of the day, if you can't do a session, it's okay. At the start, I struggle with that because I went from being super disciplined in my marathon block that I have learnt all through, the last couple of years of training with Matt. It's like I've learnt how to be so disciplined that I got to the point where I was like, I can't take a day off. I have to go for a run. But you also can go, actually, my body is telling me to slow down, and that's why I feel exhausted. So yeah, I guess in a roundabout way, Georgia, if you're feeling great and you're doing your 33K long run, incredible, good on you. But also if you're feeling as though you need to take a break and you can't do it, it is also okay to pull out. I pulled out of 2 races when I fell pregnant, so it's not a problem at all. And yeah, I think that is all of our questions for today. There's a couple of others, but we answered them throughout the podcast. Okay. So we've nailed it. Is there anything else you want to add, Matt?
No. Oh, guys, 4 spots left for TPP coaching for the month of March 2026. Links in the description. If you want to work with me, one-on-one coaching, anything from sprint try through to the Ironman, 5K through to ultramarathon. You want to go sub 4 like Georgia. You want to run Boston. Don't waste your time with anyone else. Come to us. Get to see Georgia. She runs our community.
Yeah.
Come check us out.
Come check us out. It's lots of fun. We have, with lots of athletes on our roster. As Matt said, we can fit 4 more. So, that's, great one-on-one coaching. It's a great time to, let go of all of the stress of it and just let someone else deal with it like I like to do.
If you are doing Sydney Marathon, now is we're talking about base building, now is the time. Like they're just the serious people are just starting to come through. So if you want to do Sydney Marathon this year or Melbourne Marathon, now is the time to start reaching out and having chats and making sure that we have a spot available for you, because once they're full, we can't take anyone else on. So
Yeah,
first come,
literally can't.
literally, we're chockers.
If someone was doing Sydney Marathon and they're thinking about having a coach, how long do they realistically have to sign up?
Jesus. If you want to,
like
really,
a month?
Max. Like, if you really, really want to get the best out of having a coach, it's like, you got to give him 6 months. Like, if you want to, like, really have a great race and be really fit, like, I wouldn't do anything after April.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
A month. Yeah. Obviously, you can come later, but like if we're talking about if you really want to get the absolute most out of it, and you want to get the most bang for your buck in terms of like return on investment, that's like you got to give me time to work my magic.
All right, what's happening this week, Matt? Anything exciting on the cards for you?
Running a marathon on Saturday.
Yeah. Anything else? What's your training look like this week?
Well, I was actually just going to train as normal and then run on the weekend, but now I'm half thinking about tapering and trying to go sub 4.
You really don't practice what you preach, Coach Matt. Doing too much, mate.
Yeah, but you stung me good last week, so now I feel like I need to make you pay.
It's going to be even funnier if you just come over 4 hours.
Like I did in Cairns, yeah. Honestly, no, I need to not do that because I have UTA in like 7 weeks, so I can't cook myself. No, I'll just train as normal, bunch of swim, bike and run, and then I'll go down to Bathurst and run on the weekend. Bit of fun.
Yeah, so definitely trying to practice what you preach in that you need to be very smart with this. Yeah. We don't want an injury before UTA.
No. What about you, G?
This week, look, nothing too exciting. I'm doing Pilates, which is fabulous, and
such a mum.
I know. I'm
such an eastern suburbs mum.
It's actually quite funny. Coach Anthony, I've told him for ages, like, you don't need to put anything into my training peaks for me because, like, I don't know what I can do any day. Mm-hmm. But this week he just put in some sessions that was like Pilates Princess, 45 minutes, leisurely swim, 30 minutes. I said, oh, that's cute. No, I really want to try and get to the pool this week. I have a hens on Saturday, so I won't be doing anything Saturday. But, Sunday I might, I don't know, I'm feeling good. I feel like I want to try and crack a 10K or something. So come
down to Lithgow, mate. Come do the trail run.
No.
There's a kids race. It's a mile.
There's a kids race. Does it count if I'm bringing a child with me?
I don't know. I didn't read the fine print, but it might. I can away with it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for listening, guys. This has been episode 60 of Beyond the Finish Line. Make sure you head over to Instagram and follow us at beyondthefinishline_pod. Head over to wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, leave us a review. Tell us how much you love us. It would really make us happy. And as I said, if you want to sign up for any coaching, hit us up, message Matt on Instagram or message the Performance Project and we can help you out. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great week.
Hooroo.
Bye.